Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to VEGA Conflict. I have a few things to talk about in today's video. One is prize recommendations list. I'm going to be doing hit or miss on the decimation, the targets, things like that. Well, the target I was hitting. I'm also going to talk a bit about the targets, and as well as make a few jokes here and there. Hope you enjoy, but let's get started. Let's go right into the decimation. The primary prizes are Victus Nor. Let's just skip over the battle cruiser for now. The Daemon battleship, Trojan, the Manticore, the Ogre, the Wraith, the Bastion, and the boxes to match each one for at least 2 mark levels. Well, 2 ships we upgrade to Mark II. The level 1 and 2 Vulcan Cannon, level 1 and 2 Torpedo, level 1 Terra Cannon. Let's skip the Havoc because I haven't looked at the price, but I'm positive it's overpriced. Level 1 Epsilon Echo Cannon and level 2. Shockwave Screen level 1 and 2. Plasma Shell, all 3 variations, because of how often A.X.I.S tends to go through the cycle of hoarding certain shells that are extremely necessary and then just not showing them anywhere again. Nord Armor 1. Ablative Tungsten 1 and 2, Thonian Armor 1. Even though these are the blueprint pieces, I know they're going to be overpriced, but you're going to want them for your vessels if you're just getting to them. Now, a few people were complaining about the price of the Plasma Anthracite munitions 1 through 3. I do not agree with that about the arguing or anything like that, bringing up that's overpriced. I actually see it as being justified due to the fact that the Pharmakon fleets, the ships, have been so powerful thus far that anything that adds to their versatility is just, it should be extremely difficult to acquire. However, the lower levels that may have just gotten into Pharmakon for some reason, or they just barely were able to start producing them, yes, I can see it from their perspective, it being extremely overpriced because it's just a special that increases the radius and the weapon speed. That's not that special in comparison to what it could have been. It could have increased the number of times that the weapon pierced, the AoE to vastly more than it did, heavier speed boost, or a set speed boost. Well, it is set, but a set number instead of a statistic in percent. It also could have made them homing. You all need to remember that they could have made this so horribly imbalanced, which was a possibility and still is for some other specials, because, I mean, come on everybody, it's A.X.I.S development team. But cutting them a little bit of slack, they've done extremely well with the rest of the prize store. Another thing, pick up each of the plasma resistors. Not all of them in total, just pick up at least 2 of each one for varying builds. And pick up at least 4 of the Blight weapon disruption resistors for various builds for your Umbra ships. The additional Blight resistance will help out a bit. Oh, pardon me. Yawning my face off. Or opening my mouth so large my face is just going to be sucked into it. Next one, for all of the lower level players that can't actually produce any of the high tier content yet, go with the prize boxes before anything else. And before anybody asks what I got from the boxes, I got 2 Paladins, 2 Decimators, 2... can't even remember the name of the destroyer. That just goes to show the fact that I skipped it. Where you at? 2 Exterminator destroyers and a single Annihilator battleship. All from the boxes. That was it. That was all that I got from the boxes. I didn't even get weapons from them, and I just remembered that I got a bunch of ships and crates and stuff like that, but I opened like 68 boxes at once. And I got like 3 credits, which is odd because typically you get nothing but credits, but I got 3 credits, a few miscellaneous things from the other one, but I mostly got credits for this one, but I never count them because the only one that would be important is Xeno munitions, and I don't think I got any Xeno munitions for once. I think I got nothing but cluster missiles, and the exterminators from them, and the Annihilator. But the main thing was 2 paladin carriers that, for a lower level, they're going to be your staple carrier. However, one thing that I don't think I've pointed out enough is the fact you're going to want generators with them. And aside from the strike that has the generators in them for the carriers, which comes around once a month. Cruiser Day. Yeah, once a month. There's no other way to get them other than paying for them through one of the stores when it comes up once every, basically the same thing, because it goes through once per week actually instead of once per month. Except for all that stuff I still say is overpriced, and it should be credit items. Well, it's reusable items anyways, or blueprints, or credit items, so anyways, I still say it's overpriced. Other than that, depending on what faction you're getting into, go ahead and purchase time tokens correlating to them. And now on to a few hilarious things. First off, Victus Nor, or as I'm going to nickname him for now, the I Stop You Man. If you think you're going to jump a low level that just happens to have him, well, you cannot do that currently. If they're guarding their base with that, their base is effectively untouchable. Because you're never going to be able to destroy that little microfleet because of this man right here. Victus Nor, because everybody saw the video that I posted before. Everybody's been listening about the Discord and stuff like that, about the various things that have come up about his ability to phase non-Pharmakon ships, but since he has no drain to his phase, they effectively remain phased indefinitely. That will be fixed soon, so for now, for those of us who have him, we can make certain fleets, troll fleets, indestructible. Because you just can't touch them. They just phase out, they can go right up to your carrier, and you can see them the entire time, and they basically poke you in the eye. There's nothing you can do about it. They can't fire on you, though, so it's not a they get to roll up on you, shoot you, and you can't fight back type situation. The other one is the drones. This made me laugh more than anything else. Let's just read the description. Long-range drones developed by the Pharmakon faction, which can deliver powerful plasma damage. Okay, well, no. That's a blatant lie. Those were not developed by the Pharmakon faction. People just got lazy and decided to use the same model. Those were developed by our little friends that developed all of the drones for the A.X.I.S. That's right. Every single every single time that I look at them, I just can't help but laugh at the fact that they didn't take enough time to make a unique visual for this drone. So they just copied the drones we already had, and they copied the statistics right down to the very last point. Same weight, same everything, except for they locked it so it can only be used, get this, it can only be used on the Segfault Dreadnought at the moment, because Pharmakon doesn't have a carrier. And the next carrier being added to the game, which I believe is next month, is the Umbra carrier. And it cannot use them, so the only ship that can use the drones right now is just the Segfault. And the reason I find it more and more hilarious is the fact that they say that the Pharmakon designed these drones. No, they didn't. They freaking stole what the A.X.I.S built, ripped out the primary deployment system for the weaponry, the reload system, everything like that, and they crammed a bunch of plasma garbage into it. Hey, guess what? We already did that. It's called the Fury drone. It does alien damage. We already did that with another drone too, except for it's not as tanky. It's squishy. It's called the Blue Tail. Again, long range. And again, they say that the Pharmakon developed these, and no, they didn't. They didn't develop them because the A.X.I.S development team either didn't have a model at the time, or failed to finish creating one, or didn't create one because they didn't want to. That's not Pharmakon, guys. That is A.X.I.S. That is legitimately an A.X.I.S drone that's been spray painted purple, loaded up with plasma ordinance, and then said, "Go get them." That's all they did. I mean, I could understand if they had changed the shape a bit, so, you know, the Pharmakon could have based it off of the A.X.I.S, because they could say something like, the design was efficient enough that they just had to alter the wing designs to make it more maneuverable. more sleek, or they could have added an energy shield or something like that. No, they didn't do any of that. They just spray painted it purple, changed the damage type, left all the stats same, and said, go get them. And then locked it to Pharmakon only, so you can only use it on, again, as I said, the Dreadnought. Which, this, I find stupidly hilarious. It's clearly A.X.I.S technology. It's clearly using everything correlating to A.X.I.S, but it's not allowed to be used by A.X.I.S. They're the ones that literally birthed the drones. The A.X.I.S, the Advanced Xeno Integrated System, they literally gave the drones to everybody. And here we are, with a drone that they're not allowed to use that's literally one of their own, because, again, A.X.I.S didn't change the model, so it's the exact same as ones we already have. And then they said, and then in the description, long-range drones developed by the Pharmakon. No, that was not developed by the Pharmakon, as I said. That was straight up A.X.I.S. So, change that. Change the description, because that is just disgusting so long as that model is there. And if that model changes, then it'll be fine. But until the description is changed, that's just wrong. Not gonna understand them saying, hey, they reverse engineered it to mass produce them and add to the ever-growing line of drones, but they didn't even do that. They said they developed it. I mean, come on, guys. Think about your game a bit. At least think of the details or the descriptions and things like that. Alright. Now I've got my punches in. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the targets a bit. We actually have a set of them, the new ones for the Renaissance, which are actually introduced in the mobilization. But I didn't talk about them because, I mean, I wasn't touching any of them because it's the Renaissance. I already basically gave you all my thoughts on it. I think it's a piece of garbage in PvP, and it only functions in PvE because it can close in, because the AI closes in. It's a decent counter for Trojans, but it's got the wrong damage type. Well, not the wrong damage type. It has the wrong damage booster, because it's never going to meet a battleship that it can fire on, no matter the tier, regardless. It's going to get stomped on by every single one of them. The Cavalier Cutter is more efficient at running down Pharmakon ships because it has stasis resistance of 65% at Mark 5. And its overdrive boosts the movement speed by 50%, just making it all the faster. So you think, oh, you're just going to stasis and outrun. No, you're not. It's going to close in, it's going to grab you by the ankle, it's going to start beating you in the back of the head with a baseball bat. Because that's what it does. The Renaissance, and I find this more and more hilarious because the more I think about it, the more I see it being useless. And then you fight the AI targets, and theirs just seem to perform extraordinarily well in all situations. You use Pharmakon battleships, you hit them, they don't die right away. You use a Dreadnought, you brutally beat them to death, but in the time it takes for you to brutally beat them to death, they dish out an extremely heavy amount of damage. You try and do that with one of yours, the thing's gonna freaking break in half. Unless it's fitted specifically to take on a certain target. And this is another thing that I want to bring up once again. The reason that the Altarians are failing so hard against the Pharmakon is because of their shells. They're just garbage. Against something that does 4,500 up towards 5,500 damage per second, their shells, they literally bleed to death in a matter of seconds. And that's if people don't just use shield bypass, which they can do completely, because the Altarian shells are treated like a shield, not a unique type of defense like the Umbra or anything like that. But I'm going to put that off to another video, and I'm going to actually get back on track with this one. The Altarian platoons, they drop Renaissance cruiser fragments, well, boxes that drop patterns and blah blah, all the stuff the Mark of Rage, you know how they work. They're essentially all the same, and you can farm them exceedingly easily with a behemoth. And before anybody asks how easily, let's just say that I have enough parts as well as everything else necessary to produce 5 fully Mark 5 and 1 Mark 6 Renaissance. Why? Just because I could. I'm going to be farming up other targets, stuff like that, but the targets, they're just weak. well, not weak, they dish out extremely high damage and you need extremely high level stuff to counter it. They're not tactically challenging is what I mean. Because they're just doing the same thing A.X.I.S fall into a kind of a rut doing, and they're just surrounding the player, rushing you in sets of 2 or 4 or more out of a large number of ships. In this case, there is a total of 9 ships. 3 Renaissance to the north, 3 Renaissance to the south, east, and then you have 2 Cavaliers and a Wraith that come directly at you at the beginning of the fight. Upon engaging and damaging the Cavaliers, the Wraith, things like that, the Cavaliers are the ones that trigger 2 Renaissance battlecruisers to begin advancing from both the north and the south directions. And for those of you in combat, it's not actually up and down, it's actually top left and bottom right in the directions they're going to be coming from. And when you engage the next Renaissance after you deal with the first group, the next target will engage you. And that is the 3rd Renaissance set, which is just 1 Renaissance cruiser from the north, which again, top left, and the south, again, bottom right. And there's only 1. In total, there's 6 Renaissance cruisers, battle cruisers, but they hit like a freight train. But when you've got a behemoth, it hits like a freight train. So it's just a matter of who's got more health. Well, that's an easy one. Other than that, the targets, as I said, they're fairly straightforward and easy. All you have to do is just more or less rush down the first group partially, re-angling to go straight down from your spawn location. Focus fire on one of the 2 Cavaliers, doesn't matter which one, because you want to kill them individually, because you don't want to affect the AoE, you don't want your behemoth to stasis them both, because then they'll both close in much, much faster. Your goal is simply to destroy one, destroy the other, in an extremely quick fashion. And all the while you're going to be turning slowly, so you're going to keep moving forward. You're going to be manually accelerating and turning your ship in a counterclockwise rotation, so that you're going to engage the targets that come from the bottom right first, circle back around, continuing to turn left from the behemoth's current facing, and just continue turning left, slowly accelerating until you bring your firing arc back on the next set of targets, which it will actually bring the uppermost of the 2 next sets of Renaissance into the fight. And it will get the twin firing arcs of the front weapon, even though it doesn't really matter, because once you add a drone, if it goes into any of the firing arcs, it's going to activate the overdrive. But that's about it. The targets, they're easy. They're doable for the most part. You could use ogre battleships to just crush these fleets with net torpedoes, heavy AoE, and things like that. Well, not the Cavaliers. You do that to Cavaliers, they're going to get angry, they're going to rush you, and they're going to try and rip you in half. Unless you have enough firepower to just utterly decimate them, everything around them, and just leave a giant void in space where there's absolutely nothing. No debris, no nothing. But that's going to be it for this video, everybody. I'm going to talk a bit about a few other things, like I said, later on. But we're kicking the week off right with Decimation. Was it a hit or a miss for me? Looking at it from my perspective, didn't really matter, and I didn't really think too much about it. I just farmed up like it always is, and it's boring just completing the farm to earn something that you're not going to be able to use right away, or you're going to be using, and it's just not going to be performing the way that you would expect it to be. Oh, one more thought. The drones are overpriced because, again, let's hop back over into where they're at. The level 1 is 2,500,000 intel, and the second one is 5 million, as you can see. And they perform like a drone does. They die easily to firepower or anything like that. It just comes their direction. They die. So them being so expensive and only being limited to the Pharmakon's Dreadnought for the time being it's just a disgusting waste of resources. And now before anybody says that it's a disgusting waste of resources, yeah, I've already bought the vast majority of everything I want, though. I've cleared out most, if not all of the items I want, picked up most of the stuff I want from here. But again, the drones, they're overpriced. Exceedingly so. And we all know that they're going to die extremely quickly to just about any ship they try and close in on, unless it has a blind spot. But that's easily remedied by just having a ship to shoot them down behind it. So, for now, the drones are stupid. For the obvious reason I stated. They're literally A.X.I.S drones that A.X.I.S was too lazy to actually create a new model for at this time, or they have one they weren't able to implement it. In that case, take your time. Don't make it fly backwards. Just don't make it fly backwards if you implement one for it. Or change the description of the drone. I mean, come on, they did not develop that. And we've had plasma damage long before the Pharmakon came around. If anything, you would have expected Ray-Dage to do this. And literally make a plasma drone and say, hey, I'm giving our A.X.I.S ships a better fighting chance against the Umbra. We're still going to lose, but at least now you can punch them a few more times before you lose. And a little bit harder because they have no resistance to it. But saying the Pharmakon developed that, it's just, no. But, that's it, everybody. The event was just mediocre. I'll let you guys decide if it was a hit or a miss for all of you down below. Let me actually know what you thought of it. The prizes are fairly straightforward and typical at this point for what I say for recommended. Everyone go after this, low levels go after the prize boxes, and then after that everybody focus on time tokens to be able to skip additional build time. I didn't bring up resources because, let's be honest everybody, most of us just farm up the resources anyways. But, go ahead and let me know what you guys think of the event down below in the comment section. Has it been good for you? Has it been bad? Has it just been an utter joke? Has it been, do you feel the way that I do and it was mediocre and it was just boring because it's a grind as always? It's kind of disappointing, honestly. But, if you guys liked the video, feel free to leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe, browse through the videos. There's plenty on the channel to go through. There's tutorial videos for the behemoths from the level Mark 1 target all the way to the Mark 6. There is videos from Arc. There is Total Annihilation, Command... Actually, I don't think I've done anything for Command and Conquer. But you get the gist of it. There's plenty of videos for you guys to have a look through. And as always, everybody, be safe out there in the void, and I'll see you later.